If you make chocolate from the bean, you know the challenge. Tracking every lot of cocoa from the moment it arrives through sorting and roasting and winnowing and all the way into your finished formula is just complicated. That tracking matters for food safety, for cost control, and for consistency. And it's complicated as that one large lot of beans that you brought in can be roasted many different ways. A single lot of Colombian beans, for example, could be further sub-processed into, let's say, low, medium, and high roast profiles, each of which have different unique characteristics and costs and usages. Atlas handles that entire journey. Let me show you how. So everything starts here in the Bean Manager. When beans arrive, we'll create a new lot. Where we got it from, what the purchase order number was, what the date was. And let's say that we managed to get a good price of $4.50 per pound with freight costs of 1,000 and some landing costs of 125. And for sake of argument, this lot is 500 pounds. We've got the ability to do some quality assessments upon intake, but we can now see that our cost summary has updated and flowed through every step. We're going to save that, go back to our lot that we just created, where we can create a processing batch. This is where the magic happens. Atlas is going to track multiple stages of processing. So we're going to say this is the first batch. We're going to pull out this 500 pounds. We're going to make it a light roast, and we're going to pull 100 pounds out of that 500 we just received and set that in process. When I click on that, we can then record what's happening at every stage. So we notice that we've lost some weight after roasting. That's going to be moisture and volatile. We've got a critical control point if we so choose to use it. Those of you who know me know that this is incredibly important, that we ensure that we achieve a 5 to 6 log salmonella kill during a roasting. But we're going to skip that for now, just to illustrate how the cost waterfall flows. And it is important that we allow our beans to cool after roasting so that as they're cooling, they're going to continue to lose moisture. And so we can put some notes here, 4-inch bed depth overnight at room temp, for example. And here's the key is the winnowing. So winnowing is where we can lose an incredible amount of money if we're not tracking it. Winnow number 2, 3, I'll call it winnow number 3. Let's say that we got a nib weight out of 70 pounds of nibs, which is not a very good nib yield, but that's it. That's what we actually got. We can then track our shell and nib, which we can talk about later, and our nib in shell if we're doing those assessments to see how much money we may or may not be losing as a function of a not optimized winnowing. So after this, Atlas is going to show us a cascaded cost waterfall that takes our original landed cost and factors in every loss along the way to give me the true cost of pounds per nibs for this batch. So if we started at beans at 4.50 a pound and my overall yield was 70%, my nibs actually cost me about $9.64 to use in my formula. That's the number that matters for our formulation costs. It's great that we bought it at 4.50 a pound, but if we're not controlling our losses through our process, our actual cost to utilize them in formulation is going to be much higher. Now, here's where it's all going to start to come together. We've processed, we've taken in our nibs, we've created a sub-batch process, we know what our cost is for that, and now we're going to link that to a nib profile. A nib profile represents a named specification, like Ecuadorian light roast. And so it's automatically going to recognize that we've got Ecuadorian light roast. We've already completed one batch. I didn't show you this, but there's one in there. But if we were just starting, we could create a brand new profile and call it whatever we wish. Because this is a light roast example, I'm going to add it to the existing light roast nib profile. And just like that, it's been added to our raw material list. Every time we do another processing batch under that profile, it's going to automatically adjust the weighted average cost across all the batches. So if we have one cost at 640 and another cost at 620 and another cost at 910, the blended cost is going to reflect exactly what's in my inventory. And then every time we create a formula with that or run production, it's going to use that blended cost average. This is how you manage multiple roast batches without cluttering the raw material list. So if we then go back to our raw material section, we can see that this light roast profile that we just created exists. We've got our cost per pound, our weighted average blended cost per pound of those two batches that existed in there. And what you didn't see is that when we first import this to the first time, the nutritional data is all going to be blank. Just for quick and dirty, I put in some calories and some total fat. But every time you create a new nib profile, you'll need to establish what the nutritional profile is for that nib, that specific nib. It will automatically tag this as a liquor nib for our regulatory manager. So that's all set up. Now, if we go back home, and I should say that this ingredient, every time we do a nib batch and we link it to it, is going to carry that live weighted average cost. So as we process our next batch and our next batch and our next batch, this is going to update behind the scenes in real time. So we've always got our current average cost of our nib utilization. No manual updates are needed here. So now let's make some chocolate and show how that this links through our process. We're going to create a 72% chocolate. We're going to add our light roast nibs. And just to keep it simple, we're going to add some sugar. And we'll say this is 72% and 38%. And we're going to melange it. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to save that. It's now in our library. I'm going to open that back up again. And I'm going to promote this to production. So this moves it. This helps keep our production list of things clean so that it's not cluttered with a bunch of developmental formulas that we have deemed not ready for production yet. So I'll click production. It's going to ask me, do I really want to do that? It's going to confirm that it's been done. And then it's going to open up our production manager where we can see that this formula that we just promoted is now available. We're going to decide to produce this. When I click produce, it's going to assign a lot number to it. Let's say we're going to make 35 pounds. We can put whatever notes we would like here. And then it's going to break out our formula, the percentages, and the amount required for the batch, and begin to ask us for some lot tracking information. So if we choose to put our supplier in here, we can, or we can just enter our lot number. But because all of our nibs are automatically assigned lot numbers, it's gonna gray this out. You can override this and type something in here if you want. But on the next screen, it's going to automatically recognize that we've got two production batches that have already been established. We've roasted this 2 times, and it's have been saved underneath this Ecuadorian light roast profile. We can choose which nibs we want to pull from manually. Or we can just say auto allocate with the available volume of our nibs based on FIFO. So if I click this, it's automatically going to pull from this first batch because it has 75 pounds, and the 70 pounds of nibs that we just processed and recorded don't get pulled into there because there's enough in a previous roast batch that we didn't need to. It will then recognize automatically that the cost of this first batch was lower than the cost of the second batch. Is going to give us our blended cost. But if I manually decided to do something different, and I said I want it to be half this cost, that first batch, and half the second batch, it's then going to update both the available quantity of beans in our bean manager, as well as the blended cost of utilizing multiple batches of beans so that we understand our formulation costs, and then we'll be able to see some variation in a tracking screen that's to come. So we're happy with that. I'm going to go back to auto allocate and hit review and initiate production, and then it shows that we've got traceability. Um, if I view on that, if I click view on that, we can see. Oh, that's the wrong one. This is the one review. We can see that it's pulled in all of our information. It knows what lot we're using. It's knowing what sublot that we're using. And we've got not only cost traceability through our system, but bean lot traceability through our system. We're going to go ahead and complete that batch. We'll say that we got full 35% out of there. And then the production history, I can search by any processing batch lot number that I want and instantly find it. So if I, using this example, if I know that I used bean number that started with 26, it was 000, it pulls 00. It pulls in all the production history that used that batch, that sub batch of beans, so that I can quickly identify which chocolate lots were impacted by which nib lots that I used. It's full traceability, guys. And then on the nib profile page, Atlas gives me analytics. And so if I go back to our bean manager and on the nib profile, and let's say I want to look at the multiple batches I have of my Ecuadorian light roast, we'll start to see some trend analysis that pops up. The more information we put in our bean batch processing screen, the more information it's going to generate back for us. We'll be able to see yield comparisons across batches, so I can quickly identify processing inconsistencies. We'll see some production cost variances as I produce multiple batches of chocolates with these nibs. We'll see how much I'm deviating from the average cost. We'll be able to look at shell and nib and post-roast moisture, and then some correlations between them, so we can begin to better understand how our equipment and our roasting choices are impacting our yield and cost structures. All that's happening automatically. There's no spreadsheets, there's no manual tracking. As long as you input your results into the batch processing screen, it's going to generate that behind the scenes. So that's the 30,000 foot overview of it, guys. From bean to bar, fully tracked, fully costed. That's the Atlas Bean Manager, available in Atlas Pro Plus.